Today I'm going to go through the process of combining instant swimmable water with advanced locomotion system. So if you go to the Unreal Marketplace, you'll see instant swimmable water. And right now it's 19.99. It gives you swimming animations, some code if you want to make so that the swimming isn't necessarily built into the character as much as it activates it in the water, and it gives you some pretty cool features with the water. You'll notice when you run around the demo map, it has different flowing directions and change colors. It has a lot of features for the water, but it also has some pretty easy code for making the character swim. You can always improve, and I'll have another video where I go through and redo the blend spaces, not for the ALS version, but just improving the instant swimmable water with another animation pack for swimming on the marketplace. Also, the other pack is one that's been free in the monthly free items in the past, and that's the advanced locomotion system. So you could have that. They did recently have instant swimmable water on sale, so hopefully you have that as well. Let's go and get started by first, you'll want to make sure that you install a fresh copy of ALS. And so I have one, I call it ALS Swim, but right now it is just ALS. So if you go to content, there's nothing else in here except for advanced locomotion. And then you'll want to do another install of just the swimming system. So let's go ahead and open up the swimming project. And then what we are going to do is we are going to integrate that. So we're going to do a migrate over to the project with ALS, because it's a lot more work to try to bring ALS into another project because of the macros, and just movement is generally the base of a project. It's hard to add. I mean, that is the core of the project, is usually the movement system. So it's much easier to bring everything else into it. So you'll see here, this is the basic project. Some things you'll want to take note of here is, let's open up the project settings. And let's take a look at, for instance, the inputs. You'll see that there's a swim up and down variable, or a mapping that is mapped to the spacebar and the left control. So left control will lower the character in the water, and spacebar will raise the character up in the water. So that's how it moves around. There's a jump key, which you can use to jump out of the water. Pretty much when you hold down space and you go to the surface, it'll then kind of jump you out of the water. And then basic movements. So that should take care of pretty much everything that is unique about this project. First, what we'll want to do is, you'll see ISW, Instant Swimmable Water. Right click on that. And let's do a migrate. So click migrate. It'll tell you that it's going to do all those files. And then you want to make sure you go wherever you have the ALS project that you created, go to that, and then go to the content folder, do select folder. And now it's copied everything over to that. So I'm going to go ahead and close the Instant Swimmable Water project. I'm going to open up the ALS project. And this will take you into what is pretty much just the basic ALS. At this moment, it'll have the files for the instant swimmable water. And what we're going to start doing is combining those so that it has all the regular movements until you jump into the water. Then it switches to the swimming. Once you leave the water, it instantly will go back to the standard ALS movements. While we wait for this, one thing I would encourage you to do is look in the description. There is a link to the Discord group if you're looking to hang out, ask questions, to get some information from other Unreal Engine developers. The Discord group is a great place for that. Also, there's the Patreon if you want to help support purchasing assets like instant swimmable water. I make sure that all my videos are on assets that I actually own. I don't take them from anyone else. So for me to be able to do a video on it, I need to own that asset. So when I try, whenever sales come around, I try to purchase a bunch, but I use the funds from this YouTube series. Also, make sure you like and subscribe, and click the little bell so you get notifications of future videos. Go and get started. First, we're going to take a look. This is just a standard ALS. I'm going to add in the project settings first. Remember, in input, there was an axis mapping for up and down. So I'm going to keep this tab up here, and we're going to be adding here in a minute. Once we start bringing code in, we're going to be adding some things into here. One thing I do like to remove is the select rotation mode. Just for this demo, I'm going to remove some things. So the rotation modes, I don't like C being the camera. I like that being crouched. So I'm going to change that to V. And then the stance, the left alt, I like that to be C for crouch. So I'm going to switch those really quick. And then we can leave the rest as they are. Okay, so go ahead and leave that open because we're going to be adding one thing to that in a minute. Let's look at the instant swimmable water though. Let's look at the blueprints that they have. So first of all, we're looking for the starter character. And then you're looking at our character and you'll see the mesh. Now this is the UE4 mannequin skeleton. Let's open it up really quick and verify that there's nothing special about this. You'll see, I don't see any sockets. I don't see any custom bones. This looks like a standard UE4 mannequin. So that works for me. That means that what we can do is just select it and hit delete. All the customized things are going to be in this ALS one. So we can just select that and hit replace. Go ahead and hit OK. And then save. I'm going to do a quick fix up redirectors on the content folder because it does touch some of those animations. I like to make sure all those files are put in the proper places. Now what we can do is select the mannequin. The reason that you don't want to use this one is because the other one is set to use for IK on ALS. There's some special settings for like post-processing and things like that. So we're going to delete this one. And then I'm going to choose the mannequin from ALS. That should be the only one there. Save selected. Once again, I'm going to fix up redirectors on the top folder. Save all. Going to go back down to mesh. There's two different physics assets. There's got to be some little slight spelling difference between these two. One says underwater. Let's open these up really quick. I'm not sure what difference is. We can go ahead and leave the one for underwater. So this right one's the underwater. I'm just going to select the left one and hit delete, not being used. This right one is being used in the water blueprint. So I'm just going to leave that for now. Do a quick fix up redirectors. Hit save all. For the materials, I'm going to delete those. And then now I'll be able to delete those textures. The only thing that should be left is that one physics asset for underwater. Okay, so now we need to look and see what's custom about the rest of this. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink the starter character. And I want to look under blueprints and just see, where are they doing custom things? So they have a map here. This is the one that has all the demo things. When we start testing the swimming, we'll jump into that. First of all, I'm going to find the blueprints. So I just want to list all blueprints in here. And you can see there's the third person character. That is located in starter character, third person, blueprints. If you look at the game mode, the only thing that's custom about this is the third person character. So this game mode itself isn't really that important. We're just going to be looking at this third person character that's in here. So let's open that up. Let's take a peek at some of the blueprints that are in here. First of all, you'll see that there's a very standard input for turning and looking up with the mouse. Nothing special about that. All these things are very basic. You didn't put anything really special until you get to after the keyboard inputs for left, right, forward, back. And then he has it disconnected because it changes the swim methods. So if you want to use the camera where the swimming is following the camera, you can use this. We are going to copy that over to the code, but we're going to do this in two sections. So what we need to do is we got this third person character. This is the instant swimmable water version. We also need to go to the ALS version. So go and expand ALS, go to blueprints, and then open up the ALS based character. So now see, here's all the advanced locomotion code. Well, these things, since they have inputs, input events, what we need to do is copy these separate because this bottom one's going to be going into a subgraph here. The top ones are going to be going into that main section because these will not copy over into a subgraph. Go and select all of these for the swim up down and the camera zoom. right click and hit cut. Actually, let's copy because this is we're not moving them internally. So what we'll do is a copy here because we want to leave this all here. Go to the ALS base character, and in the event graph, paste that. I'm going to do a compile. It's going to say that the camera boom is wrong. So let's do a quick trick. I'm going to show you a trick here. Let's go and Control Z and undo that so that it's not in there. Let's look at the third person character. You'll see there's camera boom and there's follow camera. Well, when I copy these over, it says, okay, this doesn't exist. It's got these errors. Now, because I removed them, they're going to go away. But the easy thing is to copy from ALS, copy the name of the boom, go to the third person character and rename that to TP spring arm. And now it's changed it so that when we do a copy and paste later, it's going to use the correct variables. Do the same thing with the TP camera, third person camera, copy that name and paste it as follow camera. The rest of these are all static things that are inherited from characters. We don't need to worry about that. Now go ahead and highlight those, Control C, and then Control V that. Let's do a quick compile. And you'll see the one thing that is missing is that input access for swim up and down. So it's swim up, down, all one word, capitalized letters for each beginning word. And we want to put that in that project settings that I said to leave open. Do it under axis mapping and call it swim up, down, just like that. You should see that that matches the name swim up, down. Now the first one will be space. I'll do space bar. That's 1. And then hit the plus next to swim up, down. And then we want left control. And that will be -1. You see there 1 and -1. So this will be up and then this one will be down. Then I can go ahead and close that. Go to ALS base character, hit compile one more time. You see that error goes away. Go ahead and click the errors that you should see now because we deleted the rotation mode. And you'll see that that takes you to the player input graph. I'm going to remove some of these things that we're not using. So those events for the 1 and 2, I'm going to remove these input events under the debug section. I don't want any conflicting things. I'm going to go to the very bottom. I don't want to have it switching right foot, left foot. You can leave that in there if you would like. And leave ragdoll in there. I think the rest should be fine. Go ahead and compile. Now those errors should go away. In the third person character, one thing you will want to see, I already know the answer, but there are no interfaces. So if you click class settings, you can always check, make sure when you're copying things over, there's no interfaces. There are no extra components that are added. There's nothing below character movement. So nothing special there. Variables are the basic ones that we had here for the cameras. And then the base turn rate and the base lookup rate. Those I don't think we need to copy over because those are only being used on the gamepad inputs. So don't worry about that. But in here, there's no construction script. There's not really anything else that we need to pay attention to. There will be towards the end, once we start testing it, an issue with the character turning in water. So we will correct that at that time. But let's go ahead and we can compile. They'll have the standard errors. You don't need to save the third person character. It's just because I cut and paste and did a few changes. But go ahead and make sure you compile and save the ALS based character. Actually, there was one more thing I wanted to copy over, even though it's not connected up right now. We're going to. So I'm going to go back to that third person character blueprint under the swimmable water. I'm going to go to the event graph, and then remember this down here. I didn't copy this, but let's go and copy it over. That camera swim method, hit Control C. Now, we need to put it in because if you look where it's at, it's pretty much after the movement inputs. Well, in ALS, that is under the player input graph. So go ahead and open that up. And then look at movement input. You got your forward and back, which is going to pretty much a function here. So you want to double click that because when this is setting the value and then it's moving forward with a Boolean of, is this a forward back or is this a left and right? If it's checked, it's a forward back. If it's not checked, it's a left and right. So let's go ahead and click that. And we're going to have to add something here in a minute. Because there's grounded, there's falling, ragdoll. We're going to want to add swimming to this. But let's go ahead and move forward. We'll do that in a second as soon as I copy and paste this over. So we're going to go to normal input because we're not doing ragdoll. And then paste that code right after this. And you'll see it's on the forward back is where the code copies in. So I'm going to connect that over. And you will see that this then can connect there, and that'll change the camera mode. If we compile, you'll see that there's an error because this get move forward, that's based on the wrong variables. We want the forward back. So right click and do get forward back, and you'll see that there is an axis values move forward backwards. And now you see it's a move get, and then for the correct name of the input. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to make a copy of it because same error down here. Paste it there and connect. Go ahead and compile and save that. Now all the blueprints should be moved over from third-person characters. So you can go ahead and close that at this point. So I'd said that there's something we're going to need to add. And so if you go to player movement input, you'll see that the ALS movement mode has a certain set of variables set. Let's go ahead and go up to the top of advanced locomotion. I'm going to filter and do mode. And you'll see that there is the ALS movement mode. Go and double click that. You'll open it up and then click new on the upper right. And I'm going to add swimming. I'm going to save that. Go back to the ALS-based character. I'm going to hit compile. Now, it didn't immediately add it because this is a macro here. But if you double click and open that macro, you'll see that there is another movement mode that's been added to the switch. So I'm going to drag that to a little blank area on the output. You see it adds swimming. I'm now going to compile that. And then I'm going to do a trick just to kind of see where this is referenced. So I'm going to right click on that ALS movement mode. I'm going to do find references. And just kind of look at where these are being used. Okay, that's the one we just created. Okay, select ALS movement mode. See where it says select? I'm going to drag swimming over to the input. And so now swimming will be an option whenever we select that macro. Okay, I think the rest of these are all fine. So now I'm going to do a search for swimming. So there's some code that was added for the swimming up and down. It's getting the state of his swimming. There's a stance change of being able to crouch. You don't want to be able to crouch in the water, so you don't want that to be connected. Ragdoll, you want to be able to, you probably want to be able to ragdoll in the water, right? Let's say your character gets shot or something. So drag and connect swimming up to ragdoll event. So from ragdoll, when you hit exit or whatever you have your key set to, it will unragdoll. If you're grounded, falling, or swimming, you want it to ragdoll. So make sure that's connected. Now, here's a section that based on what you're doing, it changes your movement mode. Well, what we want to do, so this is upon movement mode change, we want to make a copy of this set ALS movement mode. There's Control C that, Control V it. I want to go from swimming to there. And then I want to change the type to swimming so that whenever it's detecting that you're swimming, it's going to set your mode as swimming. You can compile and save that. And I think that should be the main things that we're looking to do. We can play with changing the camera settings here a little bit later. We don't want to be able to do like aiming. But what I'll do for now is I'm just going to connect. So I'm going to choose camera settings pure. I'm going to connect that up so it's similar to falling. And connect it just so the feature actually works. Same thing with change velocity based on movement mode. I am going to have that connect up, falling and grounding. Hit compile there. Same thing with the can sprint. Now here is apply input in different ways based on ALS movement. So here is the first one we were looking at, and we saw that there wasn't a swimming. But what I want to do is connect swimming up to the same one as falling and grounded. Swimming up to for the bottom one as well. Okay. Ragdoll is the only thing that's really treated differently there. Okay, this is connected up. So we have switch ALS previous movement mode. So what I'm going to do is connect swimming there as an option. File that. Already connected. Just working our way through all these to make sure everything looks like it's connected. So there's do every frame. There are things that you'll want to do while swimming. So perhaps every frame when you're swimming, you'll want to have it checked to see if it's that you may want to have it do something specific swimming. This is where you could add that, but we're going to leave that for now. We're going to treat it very much like falling. Same thing here, manage character rotation. If you wanted to have specific settings here, you could add that. And then normal input is swimming. Okay, I think that takes care of everything there. Okay, so now we need to put in the animations. So first of all, what we want to do is under Advanced Locomotion V3, go to Characters, Mannequin, be clear any searches there, and open up the Mannequin NMBP. Compile that first. And you'll see that there is, like, it's added the swimming in different places. But we're going to need to integrate some things from the animations for the swimming. So what I'm going to do is find under ISW, these down, then there is starter character, there's mannequin, and then animations. You'll see there's third person NMBP. The one thing we want to do is there's going to be an issue with IK trying to be on when you're swimming. So where we'll want to go is under Advanced Locomotion V3, Character, Mannequin. Open up that Mannequin IK NMBP. Go ahead and hit compile there. And then under the event graph, you'll see here, there's a switch on ALS movement mode. And you'll see there's swimming. Well, we want to treat it like falling because you don't want your feet trying to touch the ground when you're swimming. So select that enable foot IK Boolean, Control C it and Control V it, put it at the bottom, and then just connect that down from swimming. So now, whenever you're swimming, it's going to disable IK to allow you to do the normal animations. Now in the third person NMBP, so this is under the ISW starter character mannequin animations. Make sure that's open. And in third person BP, let's go and go to the event graph and let's look at what it's doing. So first of all, make sure the character is valid. It's doing an is-air check. It is setting whether or not you're swimming. There's a variable for that. We are going to want to copy that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at, these are the things it's using. So I'm going to select those two. I'm going to control click the get movement component and control click the try to get pawn owner. And then I'm going to control C that. This is in the update animation. So in the mannequin NMBP, I want to type update under the filter on the left and see event blueprint update animation. Double click that. And you'll see in the event graph, it has a do every frame here. And so what we want to do is once you double click do every frame, you can see it brings you this input and there's a section for swimming. So whenever you're swimming, it's going to run some specific code. And so what we want to do is Control V and paste that variable and these settings. I'm going to kind of put them all together because they don't need to be stretched out here. I'm going to have that is swimming variable. And then I'm going to line it up just kind of below everything. Now this variable doesn't exist yet, but go ahead and connect swimming to is swimming. Right click and just do create variable. Go ahead and compile and save that. So whenever you're swimming, it's going to double check that you're swimming and set the variable to true. You could probably get away without doing this, but for now we'll leave this on there. You could probably just manually set it to is swimming, but this will be just fine. Same thing, and then past this, we're already setting the speed in the ALS blueprint, so that's not needed. So that's pretty much your event graph. Now let's go to the anim graph. Open up default, and you'll see that there's things for running and jumping and for swimming in the middle. So go ahead and select swim, Control C that, so it's selected. And then go back to the mannequin anim BP, clear the filter on the left, open up graph, double click anim graph there. This will be your standard ALS one. Open up your state machine. And then what I want to do is I want to paste. So Control V, you see that there's now swim here. This is your movement conduit. So this kind of goes in and says, okay, are you grounded? If you're not grounded, let's come here. Okay, are you in the air? Like it tries to figure out what you're doing. So the second that you're grounded again, it does the land animation and it just kind of works its way through. Well, we want it to be similar to falling and jumping. We want to have it to where you can transition to swimming. So drag from the movement mode conduit to swim, and then drag a line back. Now let's look at the way that they're choosing, like for instance, that you're falling or jumping. Go ahead and double click on the arrow that goes up to the in-air conduit. And you see here, LOS movement mode, it's saying, are you falling? Then you can enter into that transition. Go ahead and select that and copy those two pieces of code. Go to the main state machine, and then you see the line that's taking you to swim. Double click that, and then paste. And then all we have to do is change it from falling, swimming. So it'll enter that mode whenever you're swimming. And then go ahead and go back for the arrow that goes back to the movement mode conduit. Control paste, change that to swimming, and then drag off and do a not. So you not Boolean. And then connect that up. So now when you're not swimming, it's going to transition out of swim. And then you can see this is using the standard speed. And it's just kind of got a swim animation that moves you forward based on how fast you're going. You can go ahead and save that, close it. And that pretty much takes care. You'll notice that there's no class things, no interfaces. There's nothing special outside of that. Inside of the blueprints for the third person anim BP. So you can go ahead and close that. There's nothing else that we will need in there. Let's go ahead and do a quick test. I'm going to compile and save the anim BP. The base character is already compiled and saved. I'm now going to open up the map for the swimming, just so I don't have to bring a pool into this map right now. I'm going to go to the maps and then overview. Save anything that needs to be saved. What you might want to do is right click on the content, fix up redirector, should be fine. Now if you hit play, it's not going to have a character selected. That's fine. But if you see the game mode, if you're in world settings, see the game mode override on the right? Go ahead and select ALS game mode single player. Just changes out that mannequin character that we're going to want to use. Now hit play. Okay, see there's the mannequin character in this world. Jump in the water and see what happens. Okay, so you can see that it's doing something strange here. I said that we were going to have to go in there and probably change the rotation thing. You see it's not turning with the character when you're swimming. It's following the camera, not really rotating the character. So, but it is swimming. You see it's, the second you get in the water, it's swimming 90% of the way there. Go and hit escape here really quick and go to this ALS based character. And then you see the ALS-based character. Type rotate. Actually, let me check one thing. So ALS rotation mode, I've got the looking direction. I'm going to change that really quick and just do a quick test. I'll have to change one more setting. See the moving around correctly. Still, the swimming is not turning. And now you can see under the character movement, I'm going to type rotate in the upper right to filter. And then what I want to do is, I think it's use controller desired rotation. Let me double check that. Might be the other one, but go ahead and try this. Okay, no, that was it. So you can see now the character is actually turning based on where you're swimming to. You can go to the edge and jump out, jump in the water, and it transitions back and forth between swimming and not swimming seamlessly using the ALS movement modes and everything else. So I think that gets us to where this is pretty completely integrated. So just remember the ALS-based character movement, type in rotate, and then check use controller desired rotations. Save that. And I think we've got it to where to be ready for you to go in and tweak and start using it in your own project. So hopefully that helped you out with getting some of these things integrated with ALS. If you found it useful, make sure you like and subscribe this video. Check the little bell so you get notifications of new videos. Also, in the description, make sure you join our Discord server. That's a great place. There's a big community. It's been growing every day, and I really appreciate that. But it's a great place you can go and ask questions, hang out, maybe give other people advice. If you have projects that you're working on, it's a great place to show that off. We're a really great team and group of developers and people that are supporting that. If you want to help purchase future assets, you can go ahead and join my Patreon. Anything helps with that. And it's nice to get a thank you once in a while for people that appreciate these videos. Helps me to purchase other assets to use in future tutorials as well. And make sure that if you want to just say thank you, or if you have a question, either come into the Discord or you're more welcome to leave a comment below. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time.